It feels so weird for me to be making a video like this because a few years ago, I never could have imagined making a video like this. This is actually my fourth return to Genshin after a number of multiple breaks from the game. I took my first break during Inazuma, well, post Inazuma, mainly because I got furious that I couldn't get good relics for the Raiden Shogun, but thankfully there's been improvements to the game where that's no longer as much an issue. The second break I took was right after Sumeru was done. I just got tired of the daily commission stuff. The third break was right after all of the main Fontaine story was done. And I think it just had to do with the fact that, you know, I really got sick of constantly having to collect condensed resin via those crystal flies. It got annoying, and it was one of the main reasons that upgrading characters in that game really just became tedious. And the fourth time and final time I would return to the game was during Natlan. I really enjoyed the story, but once the main story of Natlan was done, I just found no reason to continue. Again, it was those dang crystal flies. It was always the crystal flies. In fact, I remember a number of times that I wouldn't necessarily take a long break from the game, but there would be times where I would just not log in because I didn't feel like dealing with that system. That was around the time that the pink cowgirl showed up. Now, I've returned to check out Nodcry, and I've been here since, well, I'm a day one player, but this return started in the middle of version 4.2, I want to say. And honestly, this has been the best time I've ever had playing Genshin, and it's not even close. I mainly returned for the story, because I heard that Nodcry was a great story. And so I brought my best friend Lane along with me for the ride. And for context, Lane is a former Genshin player, uninstalled the game after they were in the middle of Sumeru back when it first launched, and they haven't looked back since. They were hooked with the story alongside me. We absolutely loved the character interactions, and Columbina and Sandrone are some of the best character interactions I've seen from Hoyoverse, and gosh, I hope they show more of that in their other games. But with the Angels of Delusion in ZZZ, I think they might. But Nefer, Lama, and Yehoda, they're also prime material for just how good the character interactions are. The facial interactions, facial expressions being a massive upgrade. I swear, Yehoda has some of the best faces in it. But no, seriously, the Nodcry story not only expanded upon the lore, it had better character interactions, the stakes were higher than normal, and one of the best things I loved about it was it wasn't just focused on only Nodcry. Many characters from multiple different nations got involved in some way. Specifically, Mondstadt with Varka. That was a very nice surprise. And it's also making it also gave Father screen time, Father being Arlecchino. I love the story, okay? I could gush about the story, and I might do that for some shorts later, but let's just take my word for it. I absolutely love the story. It was the reason I came back, and every story patch with Nod Cry has just been an absolute treat. And I've even cried a number of times alongside Lane. And you know what? I will gush about one more thing. Columbina. Talk about a character I had zero interest in from her debut as just that sleepy but dangerous girl they showed among the Fatui Harbingers, all the way back in Sumeru. They managed to take a character I had no interest in, start her from basically a blank canvas, and turn her into not only one of the most precious, interesting, and great characters I've seen Hoyoverse ever make. I'm serious. I would put her up there as one of the best characters that Hoyoverse has ever made. And that's why I'm really, really glad I have her on my account. Again, I'm gushing. I'm trying to address a number of things in this, so please bear with me. I love Columbina, and especially Sandrone's reactions. That's why the festival scene, where you're only playing as her, interacting with everyone else, was just... I'm gonna keep gushing if I go on. Okay. Let's move on. One of the primary reasons that I am still here with Genshin, despite being done with the story. Normally, once I'm done with the story, that's when my interest greatly wanes because my primary motivation is gone. The thing is, not anymore. The things I hate are gone, finally. Well, not all of them, but the primary things that made me really hate having to log into the game every day, where it felt like a chore more than something I actively wanted to do. The daily commissions. The daily commission system is finally gone. Now granted, I think they were gone in Natlan and Fontaine. However, the big thing is that I no longer have to collect those stupid crystal flies to make a bunch of condensed resin. That was one of the big things that made me quit the game multiple times, was the fact that if I wanted to get double item drops, I always had to go out of my way to collect a bunch of crystal flies. I would have to designate like 10 minutes just to collect a bunch of them all the time, and it got so tedious. I hated it. But now they've upped the resin cap, and the most important thing they've done, they allow you to spend double the amount of resin, which is what you would have spent for condensed resin to begin with. So you no longer have to collect those crystal flies. And if you want to, now they cost 60 resin to make, and you get triple the rewards, which, you know, is nice on a day where I'm feeling lazy or such, but I haven't even touched that. Which, that really should speak something, because that was my primary way of always doing things. Oh, another thing that made farming so much better in this game. Oh my gosh, it made it so much better. I forget what patch it was that they did it. Maybe it was in Natlan, maybe it was in Nod Cry, but they finally have it where you kill a boss, you get their drop, they respawn almost instantly. Thank you! I remember in the old days of Genshin, I would have to kill a boss and then collect its item, then go away for like 5 minutes for it to respawn. That got annoying, and now I no longer have to wait for that. Let me look at my notes real quick. I made some notes. Oh, another thing. Another thing that always pissed me off in Genshin, and I'm sure many of you ran into this, where you're trying to do a story quest, but it says, oh, this character is busy in another story quest. They finally addressed that, and now they have like some quick focus mode where you no longer have to worry about that. It basically forces that character back into the current story. So that's no longer an issue. Thank goodness. But no, really, I cannot stress enough how much I love that in Genshin now, when I need to do my dailies, all I need to do is go to the place I want to, spend my 40 resin 5 times, which I do very quickly, and then go back to the daily commission lady, which I will say, Genshin, just make it where we don't have to even check in with her anymore. That'd be nice. It would just make things a little quicker. Notes. Ah, another thing. I'm not sure which nation they finally started to do this, but the character quests for Genshin finally focus more on the character and less on NPCs talking about the character. Oh my gosh, that was such an issue for me as a early Genshin player. I can't remember the last time it was like that. Maybe they've improved it a long time ago, but I do remember that being something that really bothered me compared to like how Wuthering Waves does it, where you're spending basically the entire time with the character you're doing a character quest with. Now, let me just say, the game isn't perfect. It still has, for some reason, it still has those weekly boss drops that you can only farm once per week per boss. I don't understand why they're doing that, but it is what it is. And also, I don't get why they still have specific mats. Okay, not mats. Talent materials. Actually, that is mats. Talent materials locked to specific days. Especially when they've shown that during the launch of a new version, a new patch, I mean, they now have it where that character's mats are open for like 2 weeks every day. I don't get it. Just have it be like that all the time. Whatever. Now, I forget if I already addressed this. Endgame is still quite frustrating because while elemental reactions were a really cool thing in the early game, early years of Genshin, now they're requirements. You gotta break through those specific elemental shields with very specific teams if you want to beat endgame, and it's frustrating. Like, I'm probably not going to show it on screen, but there's this giant bubble crab that just flies into the air and unleashes a bunch of dendro seeds. And the way you supposedly kill it is you have to use a dendro character to grow the seeds using like hyper bloom or something, or just bloom. And it's such a pain in the ass. And there's so many bosses in the Spiral Abyss that waste time more than actually challenge you. In fact, if anything, I find myself getting my ass kicked by the grunts and such more than I do the actual bosses. Stygian Onslaught isn't as bad anymore, specifically because they stopped tying weapon skins to it. At least I think they stopped doing that. But oh, and another thing, I think they did this from the start, but at least with Stygian Onslaught, you can get your gacha currency by doing difficulty 3, which is very easy to do, and you can even do it with co-op if you need a friend. The higher difficulties, though, man, they make you work for those, I will say. I don't even bother with the highest difficulty. That is whale territory. I'm good. The second to hardest difficulty, I do try to beat, though, because it is a good challenge, and it can be frustrating, I will say that. But yeah, that's really the only big negative I have to say about Genshin right now. Now, here's the thing. When I returned to Genshin, I thought I would primarily be in it for the story, and that would be it. I didn't realize that without the mental burden of always having to do the most tedious shit in Genshin in order to get my gacha currency, I like the exploring way more than I initially thought. When Nodcry's second expansion opened up, its second map expansion, I 100%ed that map in 3 days. I didn't need to do it. I didn't even do it for the Primo Gems. I did it primarily because I wanted to, and it was fun. It was immersive. Its music was fantastic, and oh my gosh, the music, especially in well, to be honest, Genshin's entire soundtrack is amazing. But the Frostmoon Scions area music, its world exploration theme, oh my gosh, I will most likely play it in this video right here. But I was brought to tears by it. Music brought me to tears just from exploring. Not even Breath of the Wild did that. I would lose hours just exploring all of Nodcry, and even an area in Liyue. I only went there just so I could have the Ascension materials to finally ascend, what was her name? The one that always... No, it wasn't Madam Pink. Cloud Retainer. Cloud Retainer. Yeah, Cloud Retainer. I went to her area just to farm the stones, but then something happened. I wanted to keep exploring. I wanted to keep finding treasure chests. I wanted to continue the world quests. I wanted to find the stuff related to the world quest. I could not stop. I legitimately could not stop exploring. I haven't felt that way since I played Breath of the Wild. And that's when it really started to hit me that without all of the frustrations of doing all the frustrations that came with its daily commission system and how I got my gacha currency, once those elements were gone, I was adoring this game. I couldn't put it down. Many times when I was just telling myself, all right, I need mats from this area for this character. I'll go over there, blah, 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 blah. It was just supposed to be quick. It was supposed to be maybe 10 to 20 minutes at max, and then it turns into 2 to 3 hours of just pure exploring, whether it be underwater in Fontaine, the areas in Nodcry, the second map expansion of Nodcry. I originally only went in there with the intention of just getting Columbina's Ascension mats. But then I just found myself wanting to explore every inch of the place. And I did, and it felt good. It felt satisfying. I can't put into words how good it feels to really enjoy Genshin Impact on this level again. The story is great, the exploration is great, the soundtrack is great, the character interactions are so much better than what they used to be. It has truly been one of the best experiences since I've logged back in. And the game is even continuing to get even better as it's even starting to buff older characters like Venti, Sucrose, Fish. They're buffing 4 stars! Not even Star Rail or Zenless does that. Which, Zenless, get on that. Start buffing some of the older 4 stars. It'd be nice. Seth kinda needs it. But truly, this has been a wonderful, wonderful experience. I normally would have told people to avoid Genshin Impact because of the daily system being the most tedious out of the gachas I've played. But it's no longer tedious. I can finally enjoy the game, and the gacha elements are something that's in the back of my mind. Oh yeah, that's another thing I didn't even mention. The world... Okay, first, remember how I said at the start, grinding for the Raiden Shogun, tedious, frustrating, because you're tied to RNG. Not nearly as much anymore. Now there are items in place that you can craft yourself or earn that let you not only reroll substats on an artifact, but this is... this next one is the big one. You get to create your own artifact and choose 2 substats that will not only show up on it, but are guaranteed to roll into one of those 2 substats you chose at least 2 times. I cannot tell you. That system is the reason I got Inefa. and Columbina built as fast as I did. And it felt amazing. It felt amazing because I didn't have to spend months just on one character. Granted, all the stuff I have from doing that is from playing the game for a long time. But you can even find some of this stuff in world quests. Like, there were 6 of these to be found in Nodcry. You would find these 3 stones from doing world quests, and they would unlock this treasure area where you get like 8 gold artifacts and one of those substat reroll pens. Or it might have been the stuff that lets you create your own relics. Artifact. Wait, is it relic or art? No, it's artifact. Artifact. Relic is Genshin, I'm pretty sure. No, this is the problem with playing multiple gachas. All the things that I hated in Genshin. Not disliked, but hated in Genshin. Other than how endgame is handled, which can be frustrating, but that's really the only negative I have to say about the game anymore. I have never had this much fun with the story, with exploration. It has been a wonderful time. I've gone from someone who thought the game was decent to someone who's absolutely loving this game. And if people are wondering, is Wuthering Waves better? In practically every way, yeah. I'm not even gonna pretend that. Other than hiding, other than one thing, which was the reason I quit it, which is hiding ascension mats behind story quests. Not a fan of that. There's a reason they stopped doing that after Inazuma. But yeah, Wuthering Waves, yeah, it's a better game in basically every way. Why did I choose to focus on Genshin instead? Because I like the characters and story better. That's basically it. I'm sure a number of people will go, oh, the gameplay is so much better in Wuthering Waves. Yeah, I know. I know it is. Here's the... You know what? Here's how I would describe Genshin Impact versus the whole Wuthering Waves thing. It's like playing Tales of Symphonia before you play the later Tales games. Like, Zestiria, I've heard, is a decent game. But Symphonia, everyone loves the characters, they love the story. They all admit the gameplay is a little... It's a... I don't want to say outdated, but it's like... It doesn't have the quality of life and such that Zestiria has. But there's still people that enjoy Symphonia more than a lot of the other later Tales games, despite both quality of life and graphic-wise being a far superior game. But that's the thing. It's really just a matter of preference, which one you prefer. And honestly, I just like the characters more. They click with me a little more than Wuthering Waves. And honestly, the reason I haven't touched Wuthering Waves, I've kind of told myself that I'm not allowed to play another open world gacha game until I'm done with one of them. I tried to do both Genshin and Wuthering Waves at the same time, was exploring in both, burned out very hard, and I realized, yeah, okay, no, I gotta hard focus on one at a time. But yeah, that's mainly the reason I'm choosing Genshin. If you like Wuthering Waves more, you like Wuthering Waves more. If you like both, great. I don't know how to end this. This is what happens when I do a video without a script and just some quick notes. But if you're like me and you got frustrated with a lot of the daily requirements in order to do the gacha stuff for Genshin, it's a lot better now. It's so much better now. Don't get me wrong. The game is definitely not perfect, but it's a lot better than it used to be. And when it comes to getting rid of those systems, so they're not in my mind when I'm just exploring, which is what I loved about Genshin the most to begin with, it's a fantastic game. I want to thank you for just staying here and listening to me gush about how much I love this game, because it's distracted me from making so many other videos just because I just wanted to keep playing. I just want to keep exploring. There's still so much I have to explore. Most of Fontaine. There's the volcano area inside the volcano in Natlan. There's also the party area in Natlan. I haven't even explored around the volcano. Most of Fontaine. Yeah, most of Fontaine. I summarize it quickly, but Fontaine's freaking huge. Again, I don't know how to end this video. Thank you so much for your time on just hearing me gush about what I like and love about Genshin now, and I'm just so glad I enjoy the game again. Thank you for your time. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and tell me your thoughts on Genshin. Bye-bye.
Data received.